Welcome back to the Always Aggressive podcast. Corey Palm, Tanner Lipset, head coach Tony Ersland, and we promised last week we were going to be talking about some of the changes coming on staff. Well, one of the changes that we are blessed to have with us now, the Purdue wrestling family, LeRoy Gardner joins us this week. Hey man, it's good to see you. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. I'm glad to be here. I'm glad we can make this happen. I've been a fan for the podcast for, listened to it occasionally a couple times already, and in the past seasons, and now it took on different meaning as things have changed. So got the first episode, so glad to be a part of it.
Love it.
Absolutely. I think we still have a hard time believing that people actually listen to us sometimes, but it's it's good to hear. It's good to make, it's the self-esteem boost.
It's the true fans, the diehards, right? The wrestling. I'm a big wrestling nerd, so that's what it comes down to.
I think that's a good thing considering the occupation.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Tony, we dropped the big announcement yesterday. We've kind of been sitting on it for a while. Couple staff changes, couple staff additions. Tell us about it.
No, exciting time for us, right? I mean, you're always trying to find new and different ways to get better as a family and as a team. And I felt like we were really able to do that this summer and into the fall with the staff that we announced yesterday. Obviously, LeRoy here, Gardner, coming in, different path, different background, but something that I think is very necessary for us. And I think will be a tremendous addition for us, not only with him coaching some of the upper weights as he was a heavyweight himself, but just a guy who's got different life experiences that I think will add a lot, not only just to the coaching, from a technical aspect, but just the mentoring aspect and maybe even how we do things day to day from a business standpoint. So very, very excited about that. Then we've got some real youthful energy with Charles Small, our GA, right? Just the guy's got a lot of juice. Obviously, people will find out what I'm talking about as we go down that road, but a young guy who really wants to learn about the coaching profession and is willing to do the work and has already fit in with the team. He's here going strong with the guys. So, kind of a mixture, right? I guess, LeRoy, I don't want to call you old, but it's kind of the young and the old. We got a new guy just out of college, and then we've got Coach Gardner.
Tony, so he's not that old.
My hairline's
that old, so
my hairline's betraying me.
There you go. Well, you're gonna fit right in with the rest of them. You see, you can see Tanner's. He's rocking the cue ball, and Vega does as well. So, we're getting outnumbered. Even Shop's bald right now for people.
Yeah, there's more of us. Hey, there's more of us than there are of them.
Yeah, that's true. You got me outnumbered. And then just even talking about sliding into different positions, right? Vega's going into what I think is a great position for him as well, with kind of a player development associate. Yes, he's still going to be here in certain aspects of coaching, especially from that RTC angle. You know what I mean? But just kind of having him in and around and mentoring these guys and providing other opportunities for them to grow is a big deal. And then finally, Tanner, I won't leave you out. Tanner's stepping away from the comms, right? The communication side into full-time, development, or I guess, what do you call yourself now, Tanner? Tell me, what have you named yourself now?
Yeah, what's this made-up title you made now?
Yeah, exactly. What title are you bestowing on yourself?
The czar of all things wrestling.
I knew that wouldn't disappoint.
Headlock technician? Is that what
headlock technician? For everybody out there, he's going to have headlock technicians on his new business card. So
I was going to say.
And then we're not going to let him teach anything else but headlocks, people. So it'll be a hoot. But to that point, it's from the development side, or operations side, and then even with some recruiting responsibilities and things like that, we're going to really be able to kind of grow and develop in ways that we're excited about. So again, want to welcome everybody in and just know that I think it's a great staff that should help us in a lot of different ways.
And we would be remiss if we didn't mention William Soule, who's joining us as our new communications contact. It's going to be a weird year for me, Tony, after 19 years of working in communications on some level, to not have to write a recap after an event and to not have to, hit the social media channels and do some of that stuff that has been like breathing for me for the last, several years. it'll be different. It'll be different.
Yeah, but it'll be great. There's so many. The world is just so different, right? When we've talked about NIL and we've talked about conference expansion, and you see everything going on in the world, and truly, we've got to find ways to kind of grow ourselves. And I think this is really going to help us in that endeavor. And again, so it's exciting for me and for our program.
Absolutely. Let's get back to our guest here a little bit. LeRoy, our new volunteer assistant position. You have, it's going to be funny that we're dubbing you a volunteer considering the wealth of coaching experience that you have. Vega was in a similar boat when he took the volunteer position. And, I think we're really lucky. And if the public appreciation for your joining the staff is indicative of anything, I think that I think we've got some good things coming. So tell us a little bit about your coaching journey and how you've made the trip to West Lafayette.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I think for me, yes, definitely not your traditional volunteer, coming in. But I think one of the things I was grateful for is that, all the experiences that you talked about before, when I first started sort of my coaching journey, it was at my alma mater at Wartburg right after, we had won a national championship. I had won a national title. I thought this is just what you do and let's just keep pushing. And I was still competing a little bit on the senior level. And so trying to manage all that and learning to be a coach. And also, at that point I had a new family, and that was one of the things for me. My wife and I've been married 21 years now, and we've got a son who's a freshman in college. And, that informed a lot of the choices that were in front of me coming out of college. And so, I worked in the private sector and coached at Wartburg, and we had the heavyweight who came after me, 4-time finalist, won a championship. And, it was a lot of learning for me working under Coach Miller and with Coach Keller and Malachek and those guys. And then, I had a lot of influences from the Minnesota Storm. I was a Minnesota guy, grew up. I saw the light and went south, got to Iowa and the state of Iowa.
Boy, bring up that Iowa influence. I appreciate that.
I'd love to shoot Ersland down, but I also went to school in Iowa, so I can't push him too hard.
No, I loved without everything that Coach Chandler and many of the other coaches in Minnesota that gave me, and I remarked on the phone call with Coach Ersland about Joel Sherritt was our state freestyle coach coming up, and he helped me a lot, and so my career, I wouldn't have those opportunities to go down there to wrestle with Coach Miller and the staff and put on the orange and black if it wasn't for that. So after that, my wife and I decided to no longer compete. I wanted to support my family because I think there was no such thing as RTCs, and life was a lot different than that. And I'm not saying I'm old, but I definitely remember days when it was a lot different. And so, went overseas and actually lived in Uzbekistan for a while and worked. My wife is from there, from Central Asia. That's probably a whole separate podcast. She was actually a world level judo competitor for Uzbekistan. She was on their national team. And so, and actually helped coach at the Dynamo Club in Tashkent when I was over there. And they had Dilshad Mansurov and a couple other guys who, had world champs. And so I got to help and learn from them and talk across them, and then came back to the States. And that was when worked at the Naval Academy. So I was on the Bruce Burnett staff, and Joel was there and helped them at the Naval Academy Prep School. And so, and got commissioned as an officer in the Navy. So enjoyed that time, was in Newport, Rhode Island. Had a chance to work with some great young men on a mission. It's a little there. That mission is a little different than your average college student. And so really enjoyed that. Stayed in the reserves once I got off of active duty up there, and then actually took got my master's degree, and wanted to go conquer the world and be a trader. So I maybe watched too many Wall Street movies and got into finance and moved down to Houston and worked in energy. I worked in natural gas for 4 years and traded electricity ultimately, but ran a club down there. And that's how I, got started coaching women. Our first group of women came in that club and helped with Team Texas and then coached at the University of Houston downtown. We started that program. I think there's a couple instances here where I've sort of started or took over some programs and grew them. So University of Houston downtown, and I've got lots of stories of that experience, but some great kids and hungry kids from different backgrounds, right? A lot of local Houston kids going to that school and trying to make life work in wrestling, right? And so the opportunity came to in the middle of that, took a hitch to Afghanistan with the Navy, came back and really was, I've actually called Coach Miller from Afghanistan and said, hey, Coach, I'm a coach stuck in a corporate job. And what do I do? And I said, also, nobody knows me anymore, man. I'm like old goods. Like they make a new NCAA champ every year. So like, what do I do now? And he said, hey, let me get you in touch with Mike Moyer. And he said, it'd be easy to plug you back in, right? Easy to plug you back in on the college scene. So when I came back, I went to the Leadership Academy down there, and then looked at a couple opportunities. My wife had one, and Tony, my wife, is breaking a 20-year-old rule to come up to Indianapolis. Her rule when we left Iowa was no more snow. That was her rule she gave me. And so when I was looking at opportunities, and this one came up here in Arkansas, a teammate of mine had started the program. It was 2 years old, small Division III school in Arkansas, which is new to wrestling, in the South, which is also generally new to wrestling. But I came up here and it reminded me a lot of my alma mater in terms of the support we had and the love for the student athletes and the commitment they had made to that program. And so I said, hey, I'll come up, and I've been here 7 years. It was a 5-year plan initially. And in that time, we've had our River Valley RTC. We've put some guys on the All-American stand at U20s, U23s, and I've stayed involved with USA Wrestling. And I also Charlotte wrestled. My women's assistant, she wrestled at Campbellsville. She's one of the first ones I had in the club in Houston, and she went on to a wonderful career at Campbellsville, and then came to coach here. And I coached her all through the freestyle, in the spring and the summer, and got to go to Romania with her. And then most recently got back from Rome with the U17 Greco team. And, we had a world champ, and the team got 8th. We had another medalist in Cody Merrill, and then a 5th place winner in Greco. And for U17s, we knew we had some good kids, but it wasn't, the rest of the world's like pretty tough in Greco-Roman. And so we weren't sure how that was going to go, but those athletes rose to that challenge, and it was a great experience. And, we've been here, like I said, coming on 7 years now, and put some guys to the national tournament. When I came, I had 12 guys on the roster. We hadn't won a match in the NCAA regional. They do a regional format in Division III. And since that time, we'll have the men's side has 47 guys on the roster. We have had a couple three national qualifiers, really close. One of my heavyweight lost in the blood round before the COVID year. And then we've had 3-4 academic All-Americans. And so it's been great seeing those athletes develop and grow and just believe in themselves in a place where maybe that wasn't the case here in the South, right? And so that's really been rewarding for me. And, growing the women's program here has been great. And those athletes are really committed and bought in. So that's what made it hard when Vega kind of called me and he said, hey, I floated your name to Tony. And I've known Vega 23 years now or more. Vega took my dad's class at the University of Minnesota. My dad was a professor at the U, and we knew each other through the storm. And he said, are you interested? And I said, well, I'm interested to know what Tony's looking for. I said, because if he needs a 25-year-old to come and just beat up D1 heavyweights for 5 days a week, we missed that window. So I have a lot more skills than that. So we talked, and, it was like a really, for me, it was really easy to see the direction that program has come under Coach Ersland's leadership and that staff that he's built. I know AJ, it really was not a hard decision when I listened to when I listened to the wind a little bit. I said, hey, I think I got to go do this. And, called my college coach, said, hey, Millboy, what should I do? And he said, well, if you don't take it, would you wonder what it would be like? And I said, 100%. And he said, well, then you got to go do it. And so, that's how I ended up on the call with you all. And I'm excited and started, it's been I was breaking down some video over the weekend on YouTube and making some notes and starting to plot and plan. And, just excited, really at the opportunity. And I don't know how you can't be fired up about, Boilermaker wrestling and the direction we're headed. And I told Coach Ersland, hey, let's get these guys out of the blood round on that podium, and so, and then we'll deal with the RTC stuff in the spring. But I'm excited about it. So,
Coach, we've already said it. I really don't think we could overstate the fact that, as LeRoy said, not your typical volunteer. And we could say the same thing about Vega before, but as the head coach, like, what kind of luxury is it to have somebody coming on with this much experience?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the biggest asset to any team. I mean, I've always held the belief, right? Like, even amongst Division I, and there's an arms race, right, for facilities, and you see it everywhere, and having shiny things, still the ability to have tremendous people around your kids is the most impactful, situation you can have. And that's something that we really look for and we value here, right? I mean, that you mentioned Vega, right? And now Coach Gardner, I think, brings that same thing. There's an energy about people, and then character, and all of those things, and even a work ethic, right? I mean, he's watching film. He's been through a lot of life, and he understands, hey, let's start preparing and looking at the next stage. And so he's ready when he gets here. And, those are the things that you appreciate, right? People willing to prepare, people who have, great insights and great energy to offer your kids. And I think that just can't be understated. You know what I mean? It's important and it's impactful. So that's where I'm excited. You guys all got a chance to hear kind of his energy and his passion for what's going on. And that's big for young people. And I believe it. And so again, it goes to my excitement to having him join our staff. Mm-hmm. I would also say too, I've had my head down coaching wrestling for 25 years. And so I feel good about the developmental and the recruiting aspect that we all have to do. That's just been a part of my daily life for a number of years. But now, again, we're going to have the RTC stuff is changing. That's a bigger deal. NIL has made it a bigger deal. So there's business aspects too. And I welcome that. I think, LeRoy has a lot to offer in that way too. You know what I mean? Some of the experiences he's had. So again, for me, it's an easy decision. I'm glad to hear that it was something he's really excited about. He had other choices and opportunities. So, he's all in and wants to do this. So again, I think it all just kind of adds us up to us being all very excited about what's going to happen here.
Absolutely. Corey, I love to hear your opinion on this as well. Tony, how much is it going to mess with you to have two guys on the staff named LeRoy and LeRoy? Because we know you're losing it a little bit. We know that your brain is not all there all the time.
I got 100 things going through my head at any one time. That's proven fact. I will say this, and then Corey jump in. I got a lot of names I can call Vega, right? I don't got history. With Coach Gardner yet, and anybody who knows Vega knows what I'm talking about. He's a funny dude. He's got a lot of things to say. So I got a lot of names for Vega. Don't worry about that. We'll differentiate that real quick. So I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
Seems like the only name to call Coach Gardner is either Coach Gardner or Sir. After after he reels off that military background and all of the really sort of amazing career that you've had. What really excites me is clearly you've got the passion for this. It comes across easily. You're all in, just in that you're getting your wife to agree to move back north. That's a commitment, but passion's not enough. You've also very clearly got the knowledge. You've got the history of success, and just if you could explain to us how that has come together for you, realizing that you had the passion, understanding that you were a coach caught in a corporate professional's body, and then what was it that sort of made you realize that, and then how important has that been to have that drive?
Yeah, I appreciate the question. And one, and I appreciate the kind words on my background experience. One, I'd be remiss if I can't understate the this all doesn't work without the support of Susanna Gardner. right? And so
smart man. 21 years of marriage there.
Hey,
Attaboy.
we don't make it there by mistake, right? Nobody
No.
falls to the top of the mountain by mistake. So I think that anybody who knows me and has been around our family will tell you that. And Coach, you all will know Sue. She's a dynamo and the rock of what we do. And but I say that also because very early, because she was such a high level athlete, and at one point in my career, she says to me, she said, "Man, could you imagine if you had my talent with your work ethic?" And I kind of was like, "I don't know how to take that, babe." I mean, I said, that's but I say that because she understood what it meant to be an athlete, and she also understands and appreciates this journey of being a coach. And I think some parts of our coaching life is asks a lot of a spouse and a partner, right? And so without that, and so I've had that from the beginning on this journey. I've had that from the beginning. So for me, it was more, I was surrounded by good coaches that cared about me as a whole person, as well as asking my best performances because they knew what I was capable of, right? So, all my coaches in my career, from Coach Price and Coach McClure at Hopkins High School in Minnesota, which is a basketball playing, school, really. And I didn't start till sophomore year of high school. I was 15 when I picked up wrestling. But I think being a little brother was the best training that you can have for wrestling.
Yeah.
And so the impact I always say, like, I don't know where I'd be in life. It was for wrestling, it just changed. It changed my entire existence. So for me, all the things that I've been able to have the opportunity to accomplish and achieve are more like a reflection of all those people that sort of poured into me, believed in me. And that made such an impact on my life, just day in and day out. Like these rusty trophies behind my shoulder, those are all old. The glue's falling off them, but it's more the people that helped me navigate that and find that in myself, right? And so for me, this journey has been one about how do I keep forever like contributing that back and spreading that forward, because I think once it's in your blood, it's hard. Just being frank, it was hard to sit in an office doing that corporate job. And I said, I'm like moving numbers around a page every day. And at a certain point, I was like, you can't pay me enough. Like there's a number here where I would just stop doing this. Right. But with the only thing that's been around since the whole time has been wrestling, and I said, so more for me, it was a calculus. How do I figure out a way to subsidize this wrestling habit? And so really that's been for me is this journey of like, what do I need to help these student athletes to find the best of themselves and make the most of the opportunities ahead of them? And that means I had to learn running what you're saying. You got to learn the business side of running a program. You got to learn about marketing. You got to learn about recruiting. It's not just about how good is your double leg instruction or how good are you at, motivating them in the corner. It's the times in between. It's the times when they're struggling. It's what advice do you have for them? How good of a listener can you be? Can you hold them to their best self when they don't see that? And so I think for me, it's kind of been a process of refining that down. And I think for me, it was important to not only be defined by my wrestling. I think when I graduated from college and was started on this journey was, I have a lot of interest and as, evidenced by the things I've been doing. And so I think for me, it's how do I demonstrate and live an example for our student athletes so that they can see what maybe a way that they could also maximize their potential and opportunities and live their best self. Right. And that means performing on the mat. That means performing in the classroom. That means being good stewards in West Lafayette, And so, for me, it's just been a reflection. I think this is a long way of saying I'm still paying back what was given to me, on this coaching journey. So.
Corey, I find myself kind of wow, right?
Yeah, for real.
If I'm reading your face correctly.
Yeah. Yes.
That's all inspiring, to say the least. Charles is looking at my door trying to talk to me right now, and
I'll jump back in here. LeRoy,
keep focused, man. Come on, get back in here.
Right? Okay, I know where I was going. Tony, the Naval influence on your program is going to continue. It's been funny. We just had when he's still here, but Michael Wolf, who is, went to the Naval Academy and is still enlisted, and is still around the program as he finishes his PhD here on campus. And now, you being in the Naval Reserves, Tony, how important has that influence been on the program?
I mean, I think all of these things tie together, right? They're all important because team culture and maybe even the sense of what you kind of get in the military can be similar. I don't want to call them exactly alike, right? There's a lot of big differences, but I think, creating that sense of purpose for young men and that sense of discipline and knowing that you're still bigger than something just than yourself, you're being a part of that is important. And how you go about building and growing that is a big deal. And that's something that's never lost on me. I always think, if I'm the guy, if I got to lead 24 hours a day, 365, we're in trouble. You've got to develop leaders and coaches and young men who think like that and will hold each other accountable to those standards. So I've always been appealed, it's been appealing to me somewhat, right? How the military can and does go about some of that stuff. Yeah, I got to be careful because I don't want to say it's exactly alike. It's not. But there's similarities that you think about and that you want to instill in these young people. So yeah, I find that appealing. And I've had tremendous conversations with Michael Wolff, who it served his country for a long time, and now he's here working on a PhD, and we got to know him on a level of him as a competitor, but how he's back now and wants to give back, right? Like last year was about him growing as a competitor and giving it one last shot. He had one more year of eligibility. And boy, his addition to the team meant a lot more than just what he gave us on the mat. And again, he's bonded so tightly with these kids, his teammates, that he's several years older than, that he's now still around. He's getting killed working on a chemical engineering PhD, for goodness sake. And he still loves being in the room and wants to, like I said, he views it more as a mentor kind of a situation as well. And so again, you can't overstate that impact on your team as you're trying to elevate kids and how they kind of operate daily. At what level do they operate at? We're trying to elevate these kids and show them how to operate at a high level daily. That's part of it. Wrestling's part of it, but just how you go about doing things on a daily basis is a big deal. And to have people like this around is just more examples of how they should and can grow as people.
Corey, did you have something else?
Well, I was gonna jump in a little bit deeper with LeRoy. I know this is a new thing and it's still in the transition phase, but just, first glance at the Purdue roster, who are you excited to work with?
I mean, obviously I'm biased. I love all our weights. Let me start there. But
I set you up there. I definitely set you up there. Nice job.
Yeah. I think between, when I just bruised through, obviously the big guys, because I kind of, as a coach, I looked through their background and I watched some video, and I think I actually had seen Hayden down in it was either Vegas or in Coralville. I think it was probably in Vegas when I was down there. And it's hard not to miss Copass, and yeah. I think I saw Tyler as well. So I saw him down there, and I think, when I was looking, he's passing, I said, man, I always laugh when I'm at some of these tournaments now, because I think there was a time in my life where I would do this sort of mental check going, okay, I'm still the best heavyweight in this room. But now, when guys like him roll around, I said, man, were you like out of your mind just always thinking you tangle with these big sons of guns? So I think I'm excited to work with them. I think they're, I said it from the beginning that to end up in the Big Ten and to end up at Purdue, to end up at this level, you had to do some things right athletically and do some things right academically. And so just to know that, they've and the work that the coach had put in at this point for them, man, as a coach, you can't help but think, what can I do? What can I give? And what's possible, right? And so, obviously, like I said, I'm really excited about the big guys, and because I think wrestling's wrestling, but at the same time, the physics are just different when there's two gigantic human beings. It's a physics, right? I think we could ask Michael about that, right? He's a chemistry guy, but I'm sure his physics is fine too, right? So he could explain the physics.
Odds are.
So yeah, exactly. So anyways, yeah, I'm excited about that specifically, right? And I think getting the most out of those athletes. I mean, because how are you not excited about the chance to go get a Big Ten title, a chance to win an NCAA Division I national championship, right? And like it starts. You got to believe it first, right? And then now let's go do that work that it takes to get that, And I think that's the exciting part to offer these young men. So,
not to change channels too much, but figure we might as well. Tony is encroaching on one of your, as a fan, one of your favorite times of the year, as college football is back. We had a few games sprinkled on last weekend. I know you didn't get to watch a ton of Nebraska and Northwestern because you were on the road recruiting, but we're going to kick things off Thursday night with Purdue and Penn State, and then it's going to be 3-4 days in a row of games. And I have to think that you're looking forward to it.
No, you guys know that. We talk about it off and on in here. I love college football as well, right? Second favorite thing to do besides being in the wrestling room. So that'll be great. And to have Purdue kicking it off early with a quality opponent like Penn State is going to be exciting. 8:00 kick. We've got a lot of really good kids, recruits in on visits. So, it's just going to be a great weekend all the way around. Kick off the football season, get the kids here finally on campus that we've been out visiting for the last year. And hopefully we're making adding kids on the roster, right? Future Boilermakers. So I'm pumped for this on a number of levels, but I do love college football. And so that I'm going to try to catch as much as I can on this holiday weekend as well.
Yeah, that Thursday night kickoff is going to be something special. We're pretty close to a sellout from what I understand internally here. Mm-hmm. It's the blackout game, so it's going to be, hopefully a sea of black in Ross-Ade Stadium. But yeah, it should be a pretty special environment, and hopefully get to share some cool memories with some future Boilermakers. Corey, you got any other games on tap that you're looking forward to this weekend?
Yeah, Purdue volleyball opens their home season Friday. Couple matches to get the Reamer Classic going. That's consumed a lot of my time professionally, but I'm looking forward to seeing that team again. That's one of my favorite. I got a lot of, I'm like a parent with 18 children. I love all the sports I work with, but I love some of them more. I love wrestling. I love volleyball. I love football. It's a great week for the Boilermakers here in West Lafayette, no doubt. LeRoy,
volleyball got off to a good start.
What's that?
So let's get LeRoy on college football before I go anywhere.
Well, I'm excited to come watch some Boilermaker football, and I was texting with Vega this morning actually, and Tanner kind of told me the plans for the weekend with the recruits and everything, and I was excited, man. I told my wife, I said, I think it's like 10 hours. I said we could stop in St. Louis and make our way up there, and so we're if I pop up, don't be surprised.
There you go.
We're excited about it. Again, like I said, how do you not get excited about all the things that are going to happen, like you said, from volleyball? I mean, it's a great campus experience, and so I'm excited to be a part of it. And so as a coach, and then also just as a fan, to see what these student athletes are going to do,
Yep. So. I have one question for LeRoy as well, because it came up on Twitter this morning. I saw it on a Twitter mention. Talking about you and was it the 91, 92 team, all-time best team at Wartburg? It might have been Bratland on Twitter. Humble people will know what I'm talking about. But now, is that in fact the best Wartburg team of all time? Because long history and great tradition for Wartburg wrestling. For those that don't know, Wartburg wrestling, huge tradition, tremendous coaches. You talked about Coach Miller, but where does that team stand in terms of all-time best teams from your standpoint?
Well, Kevin and I talked last night when he's one, because I'm not on Twitter. So he sent me the screenshot.
He was out there touting it, buddy.
That's what he said. He called me and he said, hey, I sent this out. And I said, hey, I appreciate the support, man. But, we were teammates together, obviously. And actually we work out partners in the summer all the time. He'd get up to about 180 and me and him would always just work out. So as far as the best team ever, what I always refer to, this is not a matter of opinion at this point. It is a statistical fact. If you go look in the NCAA championships guidebook, the championships book from and look at the history for Division III wrestling, the team with the highest number of points ever scored is our 2003 team.
There you go.
And the largest margin of victory. And we have some internal fights among the Wartburg Knights that
I could imagine
that are very great, that have had extreme success. And there was some years where I would text Millboy and say, hey, those going to take down that record this year, and every time he said, I don't know, we'll see, they'll be close, and nobody has. Yeah. And so I think as this argument gets settled, right, so we 10 All-Americans, we had 6 in the finals, 3 champs, and like I said, those 2 records, I think the largest margin of victory and the highest team point score still stands. And so like this, again, you asked my opinion, but I'm gonna refer to the books.
There
right?
you go.
So the stats pointed out. So
yeah.
That just adds to the college wrestling folklore that exists on the roster right now, with Ersland being a part of the highest scoring Division I team of all time, Vega being on the only team to have 10 All-Americans, and now LeRoy coming in with the highest Division III scoring team of all time and largest margin of victory.
And that was the first that D3 we had 10 too. So it was all happened at the same time. But yeah, that's
so you got it all. Yes. Yeah. You guys got the 10 All-Americans and most points scored. Yeah. LeRoy Vega tries to hold that over my head that they had 10 All-Americans and we didn't, even though we had most points. So I get it. It'd be interesting arguments on our road trips this year.
I don't think they're gonna let that Gopher team in the Glenn Brand Hall of Fame though.
That's right.
That your Hawkeye team is in the Hall of Fame, and I think
that's right. We're already there.
Yeah, so they will. I don't think they're gonna let the Gophers in there, but
yep, there you go. I like it.
2003 is the best.
Poor LeRoy. Poor LeRoy. So, guys, it has been an awesome 40-some minutes, it looks like, of show. Corey, do you have anything else for the good of the group?
No, I'm just looking forward to, cranking this thing up, seeing what LeRoy and seeing what the other additions to the staff. I love the trajectory of the program, that it just keeps growing in the right direction, and can't wait to see what you bring to the mat, man.
We're excited. I'm excited. So.
All right, we'll leave it there. We'll see most of you in Ross 8 on Thursday nights. Coach Ersland's going to be the loud one without a shirt on.
You got me there already.
I kid because I love. No, we'll.
I have a very Farmer Fran from the Waterboy picture in my head right now with Ersland.
And Tana, now that you're not the comms guy, you don't have to deal with the fallout. It's fine.
100%. William, be ready to pick up that ball and run with it.
There you go. LeRoy, thanks for joining us, man. Can't wait to get you here on campus and learn more and really get to know you. And everybody else, we'll see you down the road. Boiler up.